Okay, so we can do, I'm going to hit record. So whenever you're ready, go ahead and try the Jessica Zimmerman Events promo.com. Go.
Hi, I'm Jessica Zimmerman from Zimmerman Events. You're listening to Vroom Vroom Veer with Jeff Smith. Listen up.
That was way too good. Let's do it again. And this time screw up a little bit. Just kidding. No, that was perfect. All right, I'm going to hit stop, start another file. I'll be right back.
Are you ready to thoughtfully steer away from your revved up, frenzied, and far too often scripted life? Then welcome to Vroom Vroom Veer with Jeff Smith, where he guides you down the road differently traveled by sharing unique experiences with guests who have managed to shift away from a life stuck on cruise control and veered their way into a more authentic and fulfilling one in all sorts of interesting and kind of remarkable ways. Get ready to Vroom Vroom Veer with your differently traveled road chauffeur, Jeff Smith.
Cary, thank you so much for being on Vroom Vroom Veer and welcome to the show. How's it going?
It's going very, very fun. It's already a blast. Yeah, it's a lot of
the
fun.
pre-show chat has been a blast. I concur.
Yeah. The best laugh in the business you have, by the way.
Oh, thank you. That's kind of like why I'm here, I think, is just, if I could just be on somebody else's show and just show up and laugh, I think that would probably be more appropriate.
And can I just say something for the record, for the hosts out there listening? I don't think enough hosts laugh enough on their show. Is it just me?
Well, maybe you're just listening to the wrong show. I don't know.
You're absolutely right. I am listening. I'm listening to the very serious category.
Right.
In podcast where nobody laughs.
Yes.
But it's good. It's good to know.
Find a show wherein folks like me laugh a lot. I think it's important to listen to other people laughing because you can't stop.
And I think it's important and I think it's important to laugh. And it's just great to know that you, this is a very significant and legitimate show, but you add the element of fun and laughter to it, which I think is amazing. So I'm very happy to be here.
If it's not fun, why are people tuning in? That's my question, right?
Yeah.
Right. I don't know. I mean, I don't tune into shows that I don't enjoy. So anyway, enough about me. Let's talk a little bit about Josh Cary at the Hidden Entrepreneur at joshcary.com. What are you most excited about over there in your business?
It's a great question because it almost took me by surprise. I came to the podcast world about a year ago, knowing that I would enjoy it so much, I would love it so much, but not really knowing exactly where it was going to lead me, but just having trust and faith that, you know what, one step at a time, I'll do this. I'll keep my eyes open. Opportunity has to, create itself in some regard, and let's go. So now, less than a year later, I have over 100 episodes of my show, which means also, as you know, 100 plus incredible and extraordinary connections and potential opportunities, where now what I'm most excited about is what started as a humble podcast show of mine has really turned into the core of me, of my being, and really of my business. So I've been able to take everything that I'm doing and have learned and how I'm doing it with my podcast, and I'm creating a program. And what I do now is through one-on-one programs or group, I help hosts, either new or established, create the best interview ever. And really,
wow, nice.
Yeah. And really, that came from doing it over and over again. And on a somewhat regular basis, really just hearing from the guests after the show saying, I do a lot of podcasts and this was like the best interview ever. So after a while, I'm like, wow, well, what has accounted for that? What am I bringing to the table? What's making that so? So I've sort of, documented that and thought about it, and I'm putting that into a teachable format. So today what I do and what I'm most excited about is this whole podcast nature that is very teachable and that I can create and produce shows. Cut to a quick connection is I come from the acting and filmmaking world. I spent 15 years in New York pursuing that dream.
Wow, nice.
So I have that bug, right? I have that desire. I have that capability. I love producing live events and virtual events, and thus media, whether it's a theatrical show, a film, or a podcast. So I'm very excited today to be able to bring that into my business and into the world.
That's pretty amazing. That sounds like fun. Sounds like you're being you.
Imagine that.
Which is
it's happening.
So rare. So rare. Finally. So rare. So congratulations on all of that. Good job.
Thank you. It is rare though, right?
It is.
Someone to just be them. Yeah.
No, we can, this is like going to be part of the big discussion over the next hour or so that we talk about this real you, it's fascinating. But before we get into that stuff, let's go back in time. This is Vroom Vroom Beer. So we talk about the story, let's see here, the superhero origin story, if you will, of the one Joshua Cary. So you grew up in New Jersey. Talk about what it was like being little Josh in New Jersey.
Oh my God. I don't think anybody. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Really?
Nobody cares about that shit.
Where else could little Josh have grown up if it wasn't in New Jersey? I happen to take great pride in my, Garden State origins, and I'm back now in the Garden State. I love it. But I don't think many people took note of little Josh growing up in New Jersey, which was part of the issue. So to put it into perspective, I was actually this close, and I know you can't see me, but I'm holding my two fingers very closely together. Okay. I was this close, I tell you. I was this close from being named Farah. Now,
oh my goodness! Wow.
Yeah.
Holy
so
cow.
Now, spoiler alert, my name is Josh, but I was this close to being named Farah because as the family story would have it, I'm the youngest of three sons. So I got two older brothers who's 6 years older than me and 9 years older than me.
Interesting.
And
okay.
As the story goes, my mother really, really wanted a daughter. Now, another spoiler alert, she didn't get one.
Oh, bummer for her. Right. But it was you were supposed to be the girl. Right. I understand.
Well, hey, you've been at the family events. You're supposed to be the girl, darn it. What?
All right. So you disappointed your mother at birth. Okay.
Okay.
Understood.
So, Jeff, you're connecting the dots.
Yes.
My goodness.
Wow.
I disappointed my mother at birth. So she has her first son, at 20 years old, and she thinks, okay, it's early. We can do this. There's a daughter in my future. She goes back in. They got another baby. It's another son. She's like, come on. Okay, it's still early enough. We can try again. And, lo and behold, 6 years after that, I come out. But my father wasn't in the delivery room back in the day.
Right. He was out smoking cigarettes in the waiting room.
And doing shots. So you're absolutely, Jeff, it's like, what, you read my bio in theory? Like, well, that's exactly what happened. You know my father.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's now a recovered alcoholic, which, an amazing person, but, for much of my life, he wasn't around and all that story. So he's in the, I guess, smoking cigarettes. Isn't that what they did everywhere? Yes. So he's out in the out in the waiting room. My mom gives birth. He doesn't know the gender. The doctor comes out. He says, what do you have at home currently? He says, I got two boys. And he says, well, congratulations. Now you got a third. And my father's reaction was, my mom's name is Elaine. My father's reaction was, oh no, Elaine's not going to be happy.
Right.
Right. So like you said, disappointed from birth. It's like, okay, fine. We got to make do with this thing.
This guy.
Right. This should be daughter. Jeez.
Wow.
So
that's a lot of pressure at birth.
You know it, right? The pressure is real, Jeff. It's real. Yeah. So I come into the world. That's the, outcome of that. Now I have an older brother, like I said, 6 years and 9 years older than me. They don't care about me. They don't want to.
Yeah, that's a pretty big age gap.
Yeah, and it felt like one. So I was left to my own to try to figure out, okay, well, hey guys, I'm new to this whole life experience.
Yes.
Can somebody show me? Nobody can show me. Great. I have to figure it out. Well, guess what? I can't figure it out. So I'm just gonna, feel bad for myself and take this as, a defect personally here and think that nobody wants me around. Nobody cares what I have to say. I mean, that part is true. I try to stick myself into conversations thinking, you know what, I'm a pretty insightful kid here. I got things to say. Nobody wanted to hear them. So after a while, I'm like,
weird.
Really? Nobody wants to hear me? Absolutely not. Nobody.
So let me ask you a question. Did that sort of like scenario, you said you were kind of like always trying to insert yourself. Were you kind of like the kid that was like constantly like begging for attention?
Oh, Jeff, yes. In the book you've apparently read of my future biography. I'm telling you, you're good at this.
Well, no, it's me too. I was the youngest of three, and I was very much the attention whore person, So yeah, so we had but people like wanted to egg me on. They were like, he's the entertaining kid, right? So I was begging for attention, and they were like egging. They were like, dance, Jeff, dance, monkey.
Yeah, they were just ignoring me. Nobody wanted me to dance, monkey dance. But what they instead of you being the entertaining kid, because I was seeking this attention, I was the annoying kid.
Right. Sure.
How devastating. Why am I annoying? I'm just trying to survive here. Okay, fine. I'll retreat. So that went on for a while. And then, you sort of tell yourself these stories that become your truth because you define them as such. And then you go out into the world and you attract and seek scenarios that validate that truth, and people and events and experiences are very happy to help you validate that truth that nobody wants me around, nobody cares what I have to say. That's amazing.
Yes, that inner script that you basically was written in there. Okay, I'm
and then the inner struggle again, the inner struggle from day one until year 40, which I spent all the 40 years in hiding.
Okay.
That's why I'm the hidden entrepreneur today, because I showed up in every situation, hiding all of my power, all of my ability, because I thought, well, nobody cares. Nobody wants me around. I'm probably not good here. So I'll just play it small and be quiet. But the internal struggle was at home behind closed doors. I knew what I was capable of. And that created, from very early through my decades of life here, that became very difficult to accept, because I was angry and frustrated knowing, you know what, I'm smart, I'm intelligent, I might even be brilliant at times. I think I'm funny, I'm really capable, but I wasn't applying myself because I had to validate that story that I kept telling myself over and over again.
Interesting. No, it's fascinating to me because, I had a similar but different sort of childhood experience, like I said. And then, I think have you ever heard this idea that your truth is kind of like a superpower, but it's the thing that's going to get you through. It's the thing that you need to make your life true and real and awesome. Okay. But it's also the scariest fucking thing in the world, right? It's equally a curse and a blessing simultaneously. So I think you, when your programming with your childhood sort of like made you see the curse more than the blessing. Whereas I think I came in with this Pollyanna kind of like, everything's going to be awesome, right?
Oh my God.
I know, which is like the same thing, but I saw the awesome instead of the curse until later on in life. And when I got into about my early 20s was when I saw the curse part, okay? Where I'm loud and annoying and people want me to stop talking, right? So then the family showed up, but it was the world. Okay. It was saying, you're too loud. You're too, I don't know, right? Shut the hell up. Be quiet and shut up and go do what you're told, and I was in the Air Force, right? So when you're in the military, being different and weird and strange and loud and happy, all of these things manifest the opposite. So that's pretty neat how parallel those two stories are. You know what I'm talking about? Does that make sense what I'm saying right now?
Yeah, completely. It's amazing. I never really put it into that perspective that it's either a curse or a blessing.
They're both. It's the same thing. It's like a blurse or a blessing.
Right.
They're the same thing. It's just how are you looking at it? Truth is always the same thing, right? It's not two things. It's one thing with two sides, right? And you can, depending on how you view it, that truth, it's either, oh my God, or yay. Does that make any kind of sense?
Yeah. I love that.
Okay. So let's talk about, what did you do, say, like immediately after high school?
Great. So we established the kind of person then. Now I'll double back.
The Heidi person, right?
Exactly.
Right.
The one who, right. I was already in hiding. I was already playing it small, thinking and attracting those scenarios and really wore that label that I slapped on for myself. Nobody slapped that on for me. Right. I wore that, with pride, really, and then found, like I said, all the scenarios to support it, and everybody does in all situations.
And so summarize that script in your head just briefly. Something like, shut up, nobody cares, be quiet. And if you don't, you'll be slapped down, basically.
Yeah. And really, thankfully, I have no physical violence in my history, but it was slapped down.
Psychologically, yes.
Exactly. And, it could have easily been, but it wasn't. So it was, I'm not valuable.
Right.
Nobody cares what I have to say.
Yes.
And I don't fit in.
Right. Okay. That's very similar to what I got, the script that I came up with after my 20s.
And
isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Isn't that So it doesn't matter when it happens, it's going to happen. I think. Yes.
Yeah.
That misfit thing is pretty universal too. That like, I don't fit. Like I'm an alien, or I'm some sort of these people are not me. Right.
I know. And really what I'm, in retrospect, of course, what I'm finding out is nobody really fits in. We're all just trying our best to, we're all so extraordinarily, wonderfully awkward and individual in our own way. But the difference for some is that, like me, we take that and then we isolate ourselves versus the people who can embrace their uniqueness, their individuality, their awkwardness, what makes them them, and then show up with that confidence and ability to scenarios and wind up attracting the people that say, my goodness, I love what you're about. I love all who you are. Let me become part of your world. But for me, I went into the isolation.
Sure.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit. So what did you do like right after high school? Because I interrupted there.
Oh, that's okay. So I was going to go back to 8th grade, which is where this part of the story starts. I was never a student because, my middle older brother, the one 6 years above me, he took the other route and he hunkered down and became a dentist, and he was a straight A student. So that was all him. Like, oh, I'm going to bury those people.
I do.
I'm not those people. Right. I'm going to bury myself in my studies and my books and I'm going to succeed. I'm like, I'm not doing any of that stuff.
Right.
I have enough problems figuring this out. I'm not interested in that. So I floated and coasted by school. I was more interested in talking and getting attention. So 8th grade, I was changing classes, and Renee Stevenson, I still remember this moment. She passes me by in the hallway and she says, "Hey, Josh, are you going to audition for the school play?"
In eighth grade. Okay. Great.
Eighth grade.
Yeah.
It was a drug awareness play. And I didn't even know that an audition was going on because I was oblivious. I didn't pay attention to anything.
Sure.
But because of the need to, seek this approval, I said, "Yeah, I am."
Was Renee a cute girl? Was that a part of the deal there? Or?
Can I be honest with you?
You can.
Weren't they all? I had no standards. I thought a girl was paying attention to me. She's cute. She's mine. Fine. You want to pay attention to me?
It was eighth grade. So yes, anybody that would come up to me and say, "Hey, Jeff, okay, wow, you're amazing."
Yeah.
I agree. Okay. So we're on the same page on that. All right.
And really, it took me a while. I'll even say through my 8th career, a lot of that still existed. Like, "Hey, you're paying attention to me in the bar? Let's go."
Right.
Who had standards? What am I talking about? I had none.
I don't think it was even an issue of, because I was similar like that with girls. It took me until probably when I met my wife, who I ended, back when I was 20 something, to realize that it was okay for me to choose. Right. Up until that point, I just thought the girls were in charge of doing all the picking. Does that make sense? Yes. Similar to what you just said.
Yeah. I'm like,
anybody paying attention to me, hey, I better invest in that because nobody else is going to come around.
And there's something interesting about that, because on the humorous side that we're saying, like you just said, I would say if you're attracted to me, fine, I'll find something to be attracted to you about. But then looking even deeper, there was something. Yes, fine, the standards were lower because I didn't respect a lot of myself to be able to attract all that stuff. But on this surface, if somebody's attracted to me, I did find something to be attracted to. So it wasn't a complete wash. I wasn't like miserable and all that. So back to 8th grade.
Right.
I tried, I went through a phase where I was the popular kid, a quick little tangent. I was the popular kid in 7th and 8th grade. And then in 9th grade is when the acne hit.
Sure.
And, oh my goodness. I
now you're really hiding.
Yes, true. and then all the insecurities come back because I was no longer the popular, and that's a whole other thing. But in 7th and 8th grade, I think was my prime, quote unquote. So Renee asks if I'm going to audition. I'm like, yeah, of course I'm going to. I am. And then I had to figure out. I was like, okay, so I guess there's a school play I got to audition for, and it was a drug awareness play. And as fate would have it, I auditioned and I got cast as the comic relief.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, which, as you know, is the role in any production, film, stage, or TV where the character is responsible for relieving the dramatic tension for the audience through laughter.
Right.
And apparently the director saw something in me that was laughable, meaning I was the one, I was the clown, I was the buffoon, I was the one jumping around on stage, and people were laughing at me.
Right. And you like it.
You've read the book, of course. I
don't need to read your book because you're me.
This is so funny.
I know. It's hilarious.
So I got the laughs on stage in 8th grade, and I'm like, wait, I can be funny. I can make people laugh. I said, so here I am on stage, and hundreds of my classmates there are laughing at what I'm doing. Again, at me, not with me.
And you're oblivious to that fact because you're all about, hey, they're laughing. Okay, great.
Right.
I must be doing something right.
Exactly. I like this response. I like this attention.
Right.
I need more of this.
Feels like a drug, really. Yes.
Literally.
It does.
Literally
it is,
feels
that feeling is like a drug. Yes.
Yeah, and you talk to a lot of performers, a lot of comedians, they all say the same thing. It is that
bug.
rush.
That's the bug.
And yeah, and the really external approval, looking
Correct.
back on a lifetime there.
Right.
That's why I went into it. I was seeking this external validation to try to make myself feel better, which only lasts for, it's literally like crack. How long does it last?
Right.
Even if you get the high.
Yes.
So I went home and I said, Mom, I want to become an actor.
And she laughs.
No, she didn't laugh. I don't even think she was listening. She didn't care. She didn't know.
Well, you were in eighth grade, but
yeah,
but you got a part in a play. So, I mean, that's something.
Yeah, in a play. But are you getting paid for it? Ma, what do you think?
How are you going to get a job with being an actor?
Well,
something like that.
Again, the book, man, the book. You got it right. What are you going to do with your life? You're worthless. You're nothing. Yeah. Rocky. What? Yeah. Now we turned into. Now who'd
the
we
Jewish
turn
mother? I don't know.
Yeah, well, me. Yes, I got one. She is the Jewish mother.
There you go.
Yeah. So I told her this, and since I was I was already not a student, I was like, I'm just going to coast through high school. I got C's and D's at best. However, in performing arts class, I got A's. Yes, I did. I spent as much time in performing arts class, doing the school plays, doing community theater, loving it. And I said, you know what? Now after high school, I'm going to audition. I'm following my dream here. Yeah. And I auditioned for the BFA acting program.
Wow. Holy cow.
Well, thank you, Jeff, for that vote. So,
well, that's impressive. It means that at least you were committed to something. Okay, so that's
there's truth there.
Yeah,
there is truth there. So I had auditioned for the BFA acting program at Montclair State in my home state of New Jersey, and wouldn't you know, I got in. So I'm like, this is amazing. I'm going to continue, but I don't know how, because I wasn't a student. I don't even know what I majored in. I think I majored in sociology, which I don't even know really what that means or how it even happened, because I was there for the theater, right? For the acting. I'm like, this is amazing. And I never missed an acting class. And I took it so seriously. And I was a young, impressionable 18-year-old. And this is the kind of program that every year you have to re-audition for the dean in order to secure your spot in the next year.
Holy cow.
Yeah, wow. Right? Yeah. This is no joke.
That's no joke. Right.
No. So we have our end of the year freshman auditions, and then we meet one-on-one with the dean. I'm waiting outside of her office for my fate. And it's my turn to go into the office. And it's like a movie I can see. I'm walking to her desk, and there's nothing on her desk except in the middle of it, I see a box of tissues. And I'm walking and I see everything in slow motion, thinking, why is there a box of tissue? No. Wow. And then, like, if this was the movie, it shows me, like, jumping on her desk and like stamping on the box of tissues and ripping them out, screaming, no, not here. And then it just cuts back to me silently staring at the box of tissues. And she's like, Josh, have a seat. I'm like, okay. So she cuts right to the chase again, like any good movie. And she's like, so, yeah, it's like Lumberg, who now I'm talking to, right? Like, I do. Yeah. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and not ask you to return for another year.
Ouch.
Yeah. And I see what the box of tissues were for. Thanks very much, Dean. I get it. I love your dramatic pizzazz, little nice touch. Right. But then she took it one step further, because I'm like tearing up and I'm devastated. I'm like, my dreams are shot here. And she sees that I'm visibly affected. And she says, this is good, because I think you don't have enough life experience, but you can now use this as part of your life experience to grow and flourish. And I'm like, oh my God, this is unreal.
Wow.
But she
went there. Ouch.
She did go there, but I got her point. I was green.
Right.
I wasn't ready. I was dedicated, but I probably wasn't very good at that time. So, maybe they took a chance on me. Who knows? Maybe they saw something. Who knows? Maybe they needed a short, hairy Jewish guy to fill a roster. I don't know.
All I'm saying is affirmative action. We don't know.
Right. I don't know why I was there, and I'll never know.
Right.
So I had to then, for the summer, go back to my parents in New Jersey, a couple of miles south there, and figure out what I was going to do. And
I bet you your parents were relieved.
Were they?
I don't know. I'm asking. Were your parents happy that you are no longer in the acting, what is it, Bachelors of Fine Arts program? Because most parents, I would imagine, would think that's a good thing.
Right. Now you can get a job. Well, if they paid attention to me, they would have known that I'm back home. I don't think for like 4 weeks they realized I was actually living back home.
You just snuck into the basement and got in the couch.
Right. Have you been paying attention to the past half hour? You know my story. Nobody cared.
Okay. Nobody's paying attention. No. What are you doing? Get out of here.
Like, wow, Josh, I see how
are you still here?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
No, I'm not still here. I left for a whole 2 semesters. I wasn't here. I was wondering why your bed was always made. Because I was in college. I wasn't upstairs. Right.
That's amazing. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. So I'm back for the summer, and I guess they weren't relieved enough to not allow me to pursue the dream, because that summer I saw an audition notice for get this, musical theater conservatory in New York City, the Big Apple, my favorite place in the whole wide world. So yes,
wow.
I said
okay.
musical theater.
Yes.
So
that's it's a small niche.
Yeah, it is a niche.
That's a small niche.
Yeah, it is a niche.
Yes.
Oh, so actor. Okay, I'll become. So I saw this and I said, okay, well, I will become a Broadway actor.
Right. Now you have to become the triple threat, the song, dance, and actor.
You know it.
Yes.
And oh my gosh.
It's actually really good if you actually want to go into that thing, because, that's a rare breed these days, people that can do all three.
Oh yeah, it's certainly not easy.
No.
And this is really the kind of thing that you have to be a dancer at 4 or 5 years old. You have to be singing. It's those people who are Broadway stars and performers. But I said, you know what? I can do this. I don't even know how. I mean, I did some musicals in high school a few years prior.
Right.
Yes, you are talking to the 12th grade Lakewood High School, New Jersey, Danny Zuko, the lead in Grease. Okay, that's who I was. Now
Danny Zuko didn't have to dance.
He moved.
He did move. Okay, he moved.
But the Danny Zuko I was in the 12th grade high school play was not good. Oh God.
He wasn't good at all, or not good at dancing, or not good at singing, or not good at any of those things.
I think I had the closest look, and I was the most involved in performing arts.
Right.
And again, they took a chance on me. I could pull it off. I can learn the lines. I can show up to rehearsal. I can give it a good effort. So dancing, to this day, I can't move. I can't dance. Singing, I was perhaps a little bit of a better singer in years past, but I was thinking back to my days on that Lakewood High School stage as Danny Zuko, right? As the lead, Danny in Grease. And if you do know, everybody knows that there is falsetto in that show. That's what it's about, right? That's that like high pitched note.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't do that. I don't know how I don't even want to think how embarrassing the show or performance might have been.
Right.
So, but I had some thoughts that, well, you know what I did musical theater a couple times here and there. I'm going to audition for this musical theater in New York because I want to. Yeah. So my mom brings me into this musical theater conservatory to audition that summer in New York. And it was an acting, a singing, and a dancing audition. And as my journey would have it, somehow they accept me into the program. It's a 2-year musical theater conservatory program in the heart of the Upper West Side of New York City. And I'm now, 19 years old.
And you think you're in the movie Fame and or Flashdance? One of the
I know.
Wow.
It's true.
Yeah. You must have really nailed that audition. Good for you. That's an achievement in and of itself. So be happy about that.
Yeah. I mean, I love my story. I love my credits. I love what I was able to experience. Not entirely sure how people said, yes, you come on. But hey, isn't that life? When you look back on the collective moments, you're like, okay, well, I guess they all did lead here miraculously somehow.
Right. You're really good at fooling people. That's what you think, right? That's what I always thought. Wow, they bought it. Woohoo.
Wow, we could spend a whole episode on just that.
Yes,
can't we?
I know. Yes.
Yeah. Again, I think we're all just giving our best. We're winging it. We're putting in our all and seeing where it winds up.
Flicking shit at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Literally.
So 2 years musical theater program. Pretty neat. That's got to be fun, really.
Yeah, and it was. And I did complete that. Nobody asked me to leave, which was amazing. In fact, I was able to, at the same time, because now I'm in New York, I feel part of the Broadway and musical theater and performance community.
Yes.
Yeah, I got the vibe. I got industry knowledge. Now, while I'm training, I am actually able to audition for quote unquote real productions.
Right.
And the summer between the 2 years is when I got my very first professional gig, meaning somebody actually handed me a weekly paycheck. It might not have been a lot, but it was money that, American dollar that they were paying me to say yes. And it was, this is what I love about it. It was, I got it's summer stock theater. I got to spend the summer on the beach of Long Beach Island, LBI, New Jersey for 3 to 4 months, working my tail off, doing exactly what I loved, musical theater, and perfecting my craft and being among other performers. And again, getting paid for it. I'm like, this is amazing. So
Dream
I went
come
back.
True right there.
It really is. And I'm like, I am going to make a living out of this. This is going to ride me into the sunset.
Yeah.
So when I got back for the next year, my roommate at the time and one of the things we had in common was we realized we are terrible dancers. We were in the same dance class, and we were aware enough to know that this is very humorous. That we're not the typical dancers. We're actually not very good. We get in the way more often than not.
Right.
Our teachers know this. So we used to make each other laugh a lot. And we realized that we have something here. Like the way we're just creating these dialogues and these characters together and these scenes, we quickly realized that we have a very similar style of comedy that we can do something with. So we both graduated with honors, the Musical Theater Conservatory, but because we acknowledge, that's not really our strength or our passion, but what we have here, there's something amazing here between us. So we wound up spending 7 years together in New York and on the road, performing and writing and creating and doing films together. Wow. We were like a modern day Abbott and Costello with a very Seinfeld twist. And we didn't have
to dance or sing.
So true. We were,
you were basically doing kind of like sketch or
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was our own material. Right. Think about, like I said, like an Abbott and Costello. Sure. You watch them. They do shtick. We did a lot of shtick, and it was our own stuff. That it was our own unique brand of comedy, and it worked, and it was just good. It was a great moment in time. A lot of wonderful credits in that. And then we eventually went our separate ways. And, there's no real easy time when you're in the arts as a performer. And so I was now living in New York and
That's expensive. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely true.
Yeah. People think, oh, it's amazing. I'm sure it is, but it's not cheap.
No, or easy. I mean, my goodness, there's so much agony, again, let's connect the dots from the whole theme here. I was always needy, desperate, seeking approval. And the reason I was all in this world is because I was seeking the external validation, every performance.
And you need that drug hit of people adoring you, basically.
Yeah, and it comes so few and far between. Even when you get it, let's say you're performing 8 shows a week and you get it, an hour later you're back home alone and you realize, nobody's here to validate me. And
I have a story about that because
go ahead.
Yeah, so I'll be brief because the show's about you. But I went through that.
It's about us, Jeff.
No, it's about you. People have heard my stories way too many times. But I did this talent show while I was like 18 or 19. I was in the Air Force, and the Air Force has these every base in the Air Force has a base level talent show. And I was in, and then if you win, right, then you go up through this hierarchy of Air Force-y performance sort of like thing. And then if you win all of these competitions, then you get put on this Air Force traveling team called Tops in Blue, and you take a year off of your job and you go do this variety show for the Air Force.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So I was in stand-up comedy /MC. Okay. And I think I did, what did I do? I got first place in MC of 3 MCs. So that was neat. I think I was probably legitimately the coolest MC. Now there was only 2 people in stand up and the other guy was really bad. and I was less bad, but equally bad, just slightly less bad.
Oh my God. So
I got number 2 of 2. No, yes. What? No, I got number 1 of 2, which was, less impressive, I would say. So I didn't like stand up, but anyway, I'm diverging here. So I got done with that the first night I did the MC, and everybody just really, really loved it. I was like, it was that drug feeling of like, you know what it feels like, right? You remember that first hit? That felt so good. There was this little voice in me saying, this feels too good. Right. It scared me. It felt so good. Does that make any kind of sense to you?
Yeah. So were you thinking of pursuing this full time?
It was just this seed that just said, no, I wasn't. The other side story was my commander wouldn't let me go do the next thing. So I knew going into this show that I wasn't going to get to travel, even though I had qualified and I could have gone to the next thing and maybe gotten into the big show. That wasn't even an option because there was this policy, but it wasn't. No, I wasn't thinking about doing this for life. I was just doing it because I did it in high school. But the point of the story that I wanted to say is just there was this seed of like, oh my God, I can't believe how good this feels. I've never felt this amazing in my life ever. All right.
Yeah. It's
for a couple of hours and then you go to bed and then you feel like your ordinary schlub again. But for a couple hours, I was like floating on a cloud and I was like, that's all I could say. It felt like the most amazing drug. And I've never done heroin or cocaine, but it's the closest kind of thing that I can imagine to that sort of level of brain ecstasy is what I'm getting at.
I appreciate the term you used when you come back to quote unquote your reality. You said you felt you felt like an ordinary schlub.
Yes.
Yeah. We all do. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. You went from like, it's almost like, you said Shazam. You become the superhero. You stay that way, and then you go to sleep, and you're Bruce Banner again, or whatever his name was. Not. I crossed my superhero metaphor there, but you get the idea. Yeah.
And unlike a drug, or additionally from a drug, you also have your ego involved greatly.
Oh gosh.
Running the show as well.
Yeah.
So in my situation, when my comedy partner and I parted ways, and now I'm back after a 7-year gig, so you've heard everything that's happened along the way. So now I'm thinking, okay, this is what now. I'm not going to be a BFA actor through Montclair. Fine. I'm not going to be a Broadway performer. Fine. Which I thought were the future. But now I'm like, oh, great. A 7+ year run as a comedy team. I said, this is my future. This is what I can get used to.
This is me. This is me. This is
right.
who I am.
And we label ourselves as that.
Who am I if I'm not doing this?
Our identity.
Right.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
And it becomes your identity, and it becomes your value and your worth.
So when it goes away, it's like you're dead, or you're just in this panic. Yes.
Yes. And you take it personally, and
you have no choice. It's like,
right, where do I go from here?
Who am I? Who am I now if I'm not that? Right.
Right. And
that's a
really,
crisis. Yes.
What are people going to think? These people, let's say my family or my parents that I'm just trying to gain the approval of. I'm like, oh, great. Now all of this means nothing because, look where, and then I'm going to hear get a job. Like, no, I don't want to. I'm not cut out for that.
Wow, you're whining like your mother.
Yeah, pretty please don't make me get a job. It hurts even just thinking about it.
You sound a little bit like George Costanza now.
Yes, love the reference. Love the reference. Larry David, we'll throw him in the mix.
Oh, I love Larry David. Yes.
Come on. So yeah, and there I was on the couch now, depressed for a while, thinking, where do I go from here?
Right. So who did you become? What happened next? How did you survive that move?
I became a web designer. That's how
yes. Wow. A web designer.
Yes. Boom. So, I wasn't ready to get a job. And truth be told, you've practically heard my resume. Who's hiring me and for what? Right. I mean, where am I taking a resume?
Yeah.
To
you've never had a job.
Yeah. To Morgan Stanley as what? Right. I don't understand. I've never had a job. So what am I doing here? Where as a performer, when you're trying to make ends meet and, filling in those financial gaps, I'm waiting tables. Great. Okay. So I can do that.
You learned how to do, you were a waiter. Okay. So you know how to do that.
Yeah. And to this day, I loved, and I spent a good deal of time in various restaurants as a waiter, and I loved it. I always say
it's a very appropriate job for a needy actor type.
Wouldn't you know?
Wouldn't you know? Who figure? Because it's either a needy actor or a convict. That's the people that you run and work at.
Right. Depending the level of restaurant you're at.
Exactly.
So true. I always look back on my waiter and server days fondly because it tapped into everything. It's a very quick environment. There's a lot
of turnover.
Of action. Yeah, a lot of activity. There's a lot of things coming at you once, and that's really where I thrive. So I became a web designer because at this time, it was the early 2000s. The internet was just really starting to come onto my radar. And because I was so desperate for approval and community, I found that, wow, through this screen here, I could find a community, a virtual community. Let's see what's here. So I was drawn to community and web development. I taught myself how to build websites because I had that desire, that passion, and that need.
Yeah, well, you had to eat. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I had to connect. You remember, I was now alone. I didn't have an outlet. I needed to connect with people. So I wanted to find community. I wanted to build community. I wanted to be part of it. So I learned how to build web pages and just taught myself HTML back in the day and just really tinkered with that all day until I became significant at it. And I took what I knew in the acting space and what I learned in the web world, and I created a community website for actors. And I did this very successfully for a few years to the point that I was able to sell it eventually, which was amazing.
Yeah.
So this was my thank you. So this was my first entrance into being
any sort of entrepreneur, right?
Exactly. I mean,
and sold a business. That means I'm an entrepreneur. Was that kind of a surprise?
Well,
it sounds like it was a bit of a surprise. It was like, holy crap, I'm an entrepreneur.
Well, I don't even think that I was able to admit that to myself, because that would have been, like, hey, you got some ability here.
Right. It sounds too good for you.
Yes. No, couldn't let anybody into that world. Remember, I'm still wearing this label that I'm not valuable and nobody cares what I have to say or wants me around. So I had to keep all this under wraps, which was the frustration. So I played it small, but I was doing some of these great things and didn't know how to accept that and take credit for it and use it and confidently step into that.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So how long does that last? Did you say that lasted like 8 years before you sold that business ish, or?
A few years. The original acting community, but then I took my web design skills and started building websites for. I was still living in New York, so I was building websites for small businesses in the area, which gave me a run for a while.
Yeah,
and then one of my clients was a big dog walking and pet sitting business in the city. And I helped him with his website. I helped him with, Google rankings. And really, I was more fascinated with that business model. It was my first introduction to the pet industry.
Okay.
And I was just fascinated from a business standpoint. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I was drawn to it. I said, I love this business model. I love that it's serving pets. I love dogs. This is great.
Yeah.
And I got the business model, and I was like, I want to learn more about this. And he was happy to really bring me in and teach me the ropes of the inner workings of the business. And finally he says, why don't you open up your own pet sitting and dog walking business? And me and my girlfriend at the time, we did just that. This was in 2000. Yeah, this was in 2007. Okay. And because I already had the web skills, I created the website. Right. And together within a year, we had a very thriving, successful web business that ranked well in Google and was functioning well. We grew it well. And I took all of that knowledge and then realized that I started looking at other pet websites across the country. And I said, there's an opportunity here. I see a lot of pet sitters and dog walkers who have great intentions. They want to walk the dogs, but they're not website people. They're not marketers. They don't know how to rank Google. They're missing even the basics here. Yeah. And I thought I could come in, and I've done it. I'm doing it. And I'll just help them tweak small things on their website and help them grow their business.
Wow.
Longer story short, I wound up spending over 10 years in that space as one of the top digital marketing agencies for pet professionals with their websites, their content. We had live events in Vegas, which is why I said I love Vegas. So
wow, you just have this knack of falling into niches.
You notice.
You sew yourself into all sorts of fabulous niches.
There you go.
Good for you.
Thank you.
Well done. Okay. So how does this pan out? So you said you did that for 10 years. Did you end up selling that business?
No, I'm still running it,
Okay.
to tell you the truth.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, but I don't have a day-to-day hands-on with the business, but
Right.
I'm still, it's still mine and I still own it.
You work on it instead of in it. Good for you.
So so what I'm doing today is last year, I realized that I'm not playing at my personal best mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And in order to survive here, I have to get myself in order. So I started looking into, taking steps towards personal growth and development, and at least for the success of my business, and dare I say, for my own personal success. And I started really bringing that to the pet industry, saying, hey, by the way, this is what I have found works for me in my morning routine. And they're like, yeah, no, we just want you to build
Right. Yeah.
I'm like, no, but if you hydrate before 7 a.m., it's really they're like, no,
What are you
stop.
talking about?
Right, exactly. So I'm like, okay, fine. Right message, wrong audience. Great, lesson learned.
Sure.
And I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to keep small. I'm going to step out now. Let's see how we tie all this together. I am going to create a brand and a message and keep going down this path and take what I've learned and learn and dispel it and see what's working and get myself out of this funk and really flourish into the person I've always been. Remove all this fear and doubt and neediness that doesn't work, that doesn't serve. And I created the Hidden Entrepreneur. And here we are recording a show with Jeff Smith on Vroom Vroom Veer.
Thanks, man. Have a good one. No, just kidding. That's
See
amazing.
how that works.
Yeah. That's amazing. So was that, okay, I know we're wrapping up. So let's talk a little bit. I have one more question, but let's talk a little bit more about where people can connect with Josh Cary. So what's your website? How do we get in touch with you? How do we get all your good stuff at Hidden Entrepreneur?
My website is the hub for everything. joshcary.com. It has all of my story, all of my videos, all of my podcast episodes, all of the stuff that I can do, and all of the links to anywhere else you want to find me on social. Whatever your social method of choice is, you'll find me there, and I'm happy to connect with you there.
Awesome. And that's joshcary.com. That's perfect. How can we miss that? JeffSmith.com has been taken, so unfortunately, yeah. That's probably why I'm Vroom Vroom Veer. Nobody wanted to talk to JeffSmith.com.
Yeah, and now thinking about it, I mean, the JeffSmith.com is probably also taken, or the real Jeff Smith.
Right, the real Jeff Smith. Well, the what was it? The Frugal Gourmet is the most famous Jeff Smith, and you probably never heard of him, but yeah. Yeah, that's why all Jeff Smiths that have any sort of like presence have some other name. Otherwise, you'll get lost in all the other Jeff Smiths. It's amazing being Jeff Smith. I would never want to be anything other than Jeff Smith, but it's just something you have to live with and deal with.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah. Hey, I'm getting that.
So I wanted to ask, was there a moment when you had this aha, I'm hiding, that sort of like awareness moment where you said like, I've got to stop hiding. When did that happen? And what did that feel like? Or was it more gradual,
No, I have, currently I have 2 children. I have an almost 6-year-old daughter and a 4-year-old son. I give shout outs to as often as possible because, Jeff, they're the reason I'm here today.
Wow.
So early on in their already young lives, I realized, I see what's happening here. I'm the child in this scenario.
Right.
Yeah. And they were quick to point that out in verbal and nonverbal ways, and the way they looked at me. And I'm like, okay, I just can't be this angry, this depressed, this needy. The last thing I wanted to do was I started projecting myself forward 20 years down the road when my children are now out of the house and I've raised them, let's say, in that world. And let's take my daughter, for example. She saw her father in that vibe, seeking approval, just doing all this stuff. And now she has the same, where she's seeking approval. I wouldn't be able to live with myself if that would have been the case. And at that point in time, there would have been nothing I can do to change it. And all of the cards on the table said, I got to change things now if I want any hopeful future for myself and to be the best father that I possibly can. So all things combined, I said, you know what, certainly for you guys, at least, I want to be the best father I possibly could be. And that means owning everything that I am and really just coming to the table and making that work. And I made that commitment a year ago, July 11th, 2018,
Nice.
which happens to be, that's when I went with my very first episode. I launched my brand and I came live with my first episode. It's also really by no accident my father's birthday, who continues to be an extraordinary inspiration for all I'm doing. So it all just ties in, keeps me on the right path, saying there is no looking back. I'm the hidden entrepreneur. I can't hide. I can't be stopped by fear.
Fuck
and
that
I'm not.
noise.
Well, now we're getting into a whole new episode. You're right. F that noise.
F that noise.
You get it.
That's amazing. So congratulations. And I wanted to say, you may have, I have this sneaking suspicion that you may have clouseaued yourself onto the mystical path of enlightenment, as they say in the
Tell me what that
spiritual
means.
world.
What does that mean?
Well, I think you're realizing that there is a true you and there is a false you. And you've always been your true you.
Mm-hmm.
And you've always thought you were your false you.
Correct.
And now you may not be 100% the true you, but at least you're on the path to try to work on it a little bit every day. Does that make sense? That's what I mean when I say you may have stumbled upon the mystical path of finding your true self. You may have, or maybe you did. Maybe it's not a question. Maybe you just know that.
Well, it's all yes, and it's all an evolution. It's
yes,
all
for
a
sure.
learning process.
I'm not saying you're going to ever get there, but just having the awareness that there is a true you that you want to be more of every day. That's as close as you can get.
Mm-hmm.
Every good mystical student will tell you that. All you got to do is walk the path and try to be truer every day. And that's it. Yeah,
that is it.
That is it.
and if people watching and or listening to me in anything I do see something and say, yeah, I get it, I can do that, great, then that's the win.
Amen. This has been a blast, dude.
I agree. Absolutely agree.
Sorry if we went too long. I don't know what.
No.
Okay, good.
No, we actually didn't go long enough.
We didn't really. We should do it again.
We went plenty. We went as long as it needed to be.
We've said it all, as Howard Stern would say. We've said it all. We've said it all until next time. We've said it all.
Yeah.
All right,
man. You are good. I appreciate it, Jeff. Thank you so much for
You're
this.
amazing. We could hang out and be friends, and then we'd hate each other, and then we could hang out and be friends, and then we'd hate each other. I think this would be the path if we were buddies. It would be like, you suck, I love you.
Well, I do. I did hint at the idea that I absolutely love Vegas, but again, my Vegas is the Strip. Granted.
Well, if you come to Vegas, let me show you Red Rock because I can get in free with my my disabled veterans card. So,
oh wow!
If you come, I'll take you. An hour. Maybe we'll do lunch. We'll drive around Red Rock Canyon. It's amazing, and you'll get off the Strip.
I will call you.
Okay. All right. This has been a blast. You have a good one.
I really appreciate it. Thanks for the invite.
All right. Have a good one.
Thanks for taking the time to ride along with us on another episode of Vroom Vroom Veer. For podcast info and show notes, be sure to head over to vvveer.com. That's VVER.com. Man, that's fun to say. And we'll catch up with you next time here on Vroom Vroom Veer.